Picture this. You're lying in bed at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering why everyone else seems to effortlessly attract what they want, while you're stuck visualizing the same dreams year after year, trying technique after technique, course after course, and getting nowhere. You've done everything right. You've raised your vibration. You've scripted. You've vision boarded. You've affirmed until your throat was sore. But somehow, the harder you try to manifest, the more elusive your desires become. What if I told you there's a reason for this? What if the very act of trying to manifest is the exact mechanism keeping you trapped in the same reality loop? You are about to discover why everything you've learned about creating your reality has been backwards, and how a Russian quantum physicist cracked the code that changes everything. Because here's what no one tells you. Reality is not something you create. Reality is something you select. You are living inside one of the most profound secrets of reality itself, and most people will never discover it because they're too busy trying to create something that already exists. They're too busy manifesting when they should be selecting. Let me explain. There's a Russian quantum physicist named Vadim Zeland who spent decades studying the intersection of consciousness and reality, and what he discovered will completely transform how you understand the nature of existence itself. He calls it Reality Transurfing, and it's not another manifestation technique. It's a complete paradigm shift that reveals why traditional manifesting keeps you trapped in the same reality loop. Here's what changes everything. Reality is not something you create. Reality is something you select. Every possible version of your life, every scenario, every outcome, every dream you've ever had already exists right now. In what Zeland calls the space of variations, an infinite field where all possible realities coexist simultaneously. You are not a creator trying to manifest something new. You are a selector, navigating between realities that already exist. But here's the thing that no one tells you. The very act of wanting something pushes it away from you. The energy of desire, of needing, of trying to manifest creates what Zeland calls excess potential. An energetic imbalance that triggers the universe's balancing forces to work against you. Think about it. How many times have you desperately wanted something, focused all your energy on it, visualized it, affirmed it, tried to manifest it, only to watch it slip further away? How many times have you noticed that the things you want most seem to be the hardest to get, while the things you're detached from just flow into your life effortlessly? This is not a coincidence. This is the universe's balancing mechanism in action. When you place too much importance on any outcome, you create what Zeland calls excess potential. And excess potential always generates balancing forces that restore equilibrium by moving you away from what you're trying so hard to get. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But cup your hands gently, and the water stays. So what does this mean for you? It means that manifesting as you've been taught, with all its focus on desire, intention, and emotional attachment, is actually keeping you stuck in the same reality. Because you're not creating anything new. You're just reinforcing the reality where you're someone who wants something they don't have. But Reality Transurfing offers something completely different. Instead of trying to manifest your desires, you learn to select your reality. Instead of wanting, you learn to choose. Instead of pushing, you learn to glide. Let me take you deeper into this, because what I'm about to share will fundamentally alter how you perceive the nature of existence itself. In the space of variations, every possible version of your life exists as what Zeland calls a lifeline, a specific sequence of events, circumstances, and realities. Right now, you're experiencing one lifeline. But parallel to this lifeline are infinite other lifelines, where you have everything you think you want to manifest. There's a lifeline where you're already financially abundant. There's a lifeline where you're already in the perfect relationship. There's a lifeline where you're already living your dream life. These aren't potentials or possibilities. They're actual realities existing right now in parallel dimensions of the space of variations. The question isn't how to create these realities. The question is how to select them, how to slide from the lifeline you're on to the lifeline you prefer. And here's where everything you've learned about manifesting has been leading you astray. Because selection requires a completely different energy than creation. Selection requires what Zeland calls outer intention, the ability to allow the universe to move you toward your desired reality instead of trying to force that reality toward you. Most people operate from inner intention, the personal will, the ego's desire, the force of wanting. Inner intention is like swimming upstream against the current of reality. It's exhausting, it's inefficient, and it often moves you in the opposite direction of where you want to go. But outer intention is like stepping into a river that's already flowing toward your destination. It's not about forcing or pushing. It's about recognizing the current and allowing it to carry you. Let me give you a concrete example of how this plays out in everyday life. Imagine you're desperately trying to manifest a new job. You're visualizing, affirming, applying everywhere, networking frantically. You're putting all your energy into wanting this job, needing this job, making your happiness dependent on getting this job. What you're actually doing is creating excess potential around employment. You're generating the energy of someone who doesn't have what they want, someone who's lacking, someone who's desperate. And that energy, that excess potential, triggers balancing forces that work against you. Maybe you get interviews, but they don't lead anywhere. Maybe perfect opportunities slip through your fingers at the last moment. Maybe you find yourself in increasingly frustrating situations that seem to mock your efforts. This isn't the universe being cruel. This is the balancing mechanism restoring equilibrium to the excess potential you've created. But what if, instead of trying to manifest a job, you learn to select the lifeline where you already have the perfect job? What if you embodied the energy of someone who is naturally employed in work they love, work that fulfills them, work that flows effortlessly? This person doesn't desperately search for jobs. They don't frantically network. They don't make their worth dependent on external validation. They simply move through life with the quiet confidence of someone who is exactly where they belong. And here's what happens. Opportunities begin to flow toward them. The right people show up at the right time. Doors open that they didn't even know existed. Not because they're manifesting these things, but because they've selected the lifeline where these things already exist. This is the fundamental difference between manifestation and selection. Manifestation operates from lack and tries to fill that lack through external means. Selection operates from wholeness and allows that wholeness to be reflected in external circumstances. So how do you activate outer intention? How do you shift from manifesting to selecting? The first step is what Zeland calls reducing importance. You must release the emotional charge around your desired outcome. You must stop making your happiness, your worth, your identity dependent on getting what you want. Because as long as you're emotionally attached to the outcome, you're generating excess potential that will trigger balancing forces against you. This doesn't mean you stop caring about your goals. It means you stop needing them to be happy. It means you cultivate what Zeland calls mild satisfaction, the energy of already having what you want, even before it appears in your physical reality. Think of it this way. In the lifeline, where you already have everything you want, how do you feel? Not desperate, not needy, not constantly visualizing and affirming. You feel calm, satisfied, naturally abundant. You feel like someone who has what they want feels. This is the energy that allows you to select that reality. Not the energy of wanting it, but the energy of already having it. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The reason most people can't access this energy is because they're trapped in what Zeland calls pendulums, energetic structures created by collective thought and emotion that feed on your attention and energy. Every time you worry about money, you're feeding the poverty pendulum. Every time you stress about being single, you're feeding the loneliness pendulum. Every time you desperately try to manifest something, you're feeding the lack pendulum. And these pendulums don't want you to shift to a different reality. They want to keep you in the reality where you're feeding them your energy. They want to keep you wanting, needing, struggling, because that's how they sustain themselves. The manifestation industry itself has become a massive pendulum. It keeps you focused on the fact that you don't have what you want, that you need to work harder, visualize more, raise your vibration higher. It keeps you in the energy of lack disguised as abundance work. Think about how much time and energy you've spent consuming manifestation content. How many courses you've taken. How many techniques you've tried. How many gurus you've followed. And at the end of it all, are you actually living the life you want? Or are you still seeking, still wanting, still trying to manifest your way out of your current reality? This is the pendulum at work. It doesn't want you to actually get what you want, because then you'd stop feeding it your energy. It wants to keep you in the perpetual state of seeking, always one technique away from breakthrough, always one course away from success. But Reality Transurfing shows you how to step out of these pendulums entirely. How to withdraw your energy from the collective thought forms that keep you stuck. How to become what Zeland calls the balanced person. Someone who doesn't get pulled into the drama of wanting and not having. The balanced person doesn't fight against pendulums. They simply don't engage with them. They don't try to convince others that their way is right. They don't get triggered by opposing viewpoints. They don't feed the drama with their emotional reactions. Instead, they focus on their own lifeline. They embody the reality they want to experience. They become living examples of what's possible when you stop trying to manifest and start selecting. Let me pause here and ask you to really feel this in your body. Can you sense the difference between the energy of desperately wanting something and the energy of calmly selecting it? Can you feel how wanting creates tension, resistance, struggle, while selecting creates flow, ease, natural movement? Take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I am learning to select, not manifest. Let this be your energetic declaration to the field that you're ready to shift from the old paradigm of creation to the new paradigm of selection. This isn't just another technique to try. This is a fundamental shift in how you relate to reality itself. And the more you embody this shift, the more you'll discover that you don't need to manifest anything, because everything you want already exists. You just need to learn how to select it. Now, if you're feeling called to dive deeper into these concepts, and I mean really dive deep, Vadim Zeland's complete work on Reality Transurfing contains layers upon layers of understanding that we can only touch the surface of here. I've placed a link to the full book in the description if you want to explore the complete system. Because what we're covering today is just the beginning of a much more profound journey. So how do you actually do this? How do you shift from your current lifeline to the lifeline you prefer? Zeland offers several keys, but the most important one is what he calls the mirror principle. Reality is like a mirror that reflects your inner state back to you. But here's the crucial point. The mirror reflects not what you want, but what you are. If you're in the energy of wanting money, the mirror reflects back to you the reality of someone who wants money, someone who doesn't have it. If you're in the energy of wanting love, the mirror reflects back to you the reality of someone who wants love, someone who's alone. But if you're in the energy of already having money, the mirror reflects back to you the reality of someone who has money. If you're in the energy of already being loved, the mirror reflects back to you the reality of someone who is loved. This is why traditional manifesting doesn't work, because it keeps you in the energy of wanting, and wanting is what gets reflected back to you. Reality Transurfing teaches you to step into the energy of already having what you want, not through fake it till you make it positive thinking, but through what Zeland calls conscious selection. You begin to act, think, and feel like the version of yourself who already lives on the lifeline you prefer. Not because you're trying to convince the universe to give you what you want, but because you're aligning with the reality where you already have it. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to feel good. This is about recognizing that the version of you who has what you want already exists. And you can step into that version by embodying their energy, their perspective, their way of being. Let me give you a practical example. Instead of visualizing yourself getting the perfect job, you begin to feel like someone who already has the perfect job. How does that person wake up in the morning? How do they move through their day? What is their energy like? What do they focus on? What do they not worry about? You begin to embody that energy not as a technique to get the job, but as a way of selecting the lifeline where you already have it. You're not trying to become that person. You're recognizing that you already are that person, just on a different lifeline. And here's what happens. As you consistently embody the energy of your preferred lifeline, reality begins to shift around you. Not because you're manifesting it, but because you're selecting it. You're literally sliding from one lifeline to another. The circumstances, opportunities, and synchronicities that exist on your preferred lifeline begin to show up in your experience. Not because you've created them, but because you've moved into the reality where they already exist. This is the power of conscious selection. You're not waiting for the universe to deliver your desires. You're stepping into the reality where your desires are already fulfilled. But here's the key. This process requires what Zeland calls the wave of fortune. You must learn to recognize and ride the natural currents of your preferred lifeline instead of fighting against them. Most people miss their wave of fortune because they're too busy trying to force things to happen their way. They have a specific idea of how their desires should manifest, and they reject anything that doesn't match their mental picture. But Reality Transurfing teaches you to stay open to the infinite ways your preferred lifeline can unfold. To trust that the universe knows better than your conscious mind how to deliver you to your desired reality. This is where traditional goal setting and manifestation can actually work against you, because they create rigid expectations that can cause you to miss the very opportunities that would move you to your preferred lifeline. Instead, Zeland teaches you to set what he calls slides, clear images of your desired end state without attachment to the specific path. You know where you want to go, but you remain open to how you get there. You might think you want a specific amount of money, But what you actually want is the lifestyle and freedom that money represents. You might think you want a specific person, but what you actually want is the love and connection that person represents. When you focus on the essence of what you want, rather than the specific form, you open yourself to receive it in ways you never could have imagined. You allow the universe to deliver your desires through the path of least resistance. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. There was a woman who had been trying to manifest her soulmate for years. She had a detailed list of everything she wanted in a partner: his height, his profession, his background, even his astrological sign. She visualized him daily, did love rituals, worked on her self-worth, tried every manifestation technique she could find. But year after year, this specific person never showed up, and she became increasingly frustrated, increasingly convinced that she was doing something wrong, that she wasn't worthy of love, that the universe was withholding her desires. Then she discovered Reality Transurfing, and she realized that she had been trying to manifest a specific form instead of selecting the essence of what she truly wanted. What she actually wanted wasn't a particular person. What she wanted was to feel deeply loved, cherished, understood, and connected. So she stopped trying to manifest her ideal man and started embodying the energy of a woman who is deeply loved. She stopped visualizing the perfect relationship and started feeling what it would be like to wake up every day knowing she was treasured. She didn't try to become this woman. She recognized that she already was this woman, just on a different lifeline. And she began to select that lifeline through her thoughts, her feelings, her actions, her way of being. Within months, love appeared in her life. Not in the form she had imagined, not matching her detailed list, but in a way that was so much better than anything she could have conceived. Because when you stop trying to control the form and focus on the essence, the universe can deliver beyond your wildest dreams. Here's another example that shows how radical this shift really is. A man had been trying to manifest financial abundance for years, using every technique imaginable: vision boards, affirmations, abundance meditations. But he remained stuck in the same financial patterns. Through Reality Transurfing, he realized he had created massive excess potential around money. He had made financial abundance so important that he was constantly generating the very energy that pushed it away. Every visualization was charged with desperate need. Every affirmation came from underlying anxiety. He wasn't embodying abundance. He was embodying lack disguised as abundance work. So instead of trying to get money, he began to feel like someone who already had plenty. He embodied the consciousness of natural abundance, making decisions from overflow rather than scarcity. Within months, opportunities flowed toward him that he never could have imagined. The money came not because he was trying to manifest it, but because he had selected the lifeline where abundance was his natural state. And here's something beautiful. As you learn to select your reality rather than manifest it, you begin to discover that you don't actually need most of the things you thought you wanted. Because what you really wanted was the feeling of being someone who doesn't need anything. The abundance you were trying to manifest, it's not about having more money. It's about feeling naturally abundant, regardless of your bank account. The love you were trying to attract, it's not about finding the perfect person. It's about feeling naturally lovable, regardless of your relationship status. This is the ultimate paradox of Reality Transurfing. The moment you stop needing to manifest anything, everything you want becomes available to you. Because you've stepped into the lifeline where you already have everything you need. If this is touching something in you, if you can feel the truth of what I'm sharing, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency, to this space where we explore the intersection of consciousness and reality, where we learn to navigate the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Because here's what I've discovered. The more people who understand these principles, the more the collective reality shifts. The more of us who learn to select instead of manifest, the more we create a world where everyone has access to their preferred lifeline. So let me take you even deeper into this understanding, because there are layers to reality transurfing that most people never discover. One of the most powerful aspects of reality transurfing is understanding what Zeland calls the alternatives space. This is the quantum field where all possible realities exist simultaneously. Every choice you could make, every path you could take, every outcome you could experience, it's all there, waiting to be selected. But here's what most people don't realize. You're not just selecting your personal reality. You're also selecting the collective reality that you participate in. Every time you choose fear over love, scarcity over abundance, separation over connection, you're not just affecting your own lifeline, you're contributing to the collective lifeline of humanity. This is why reality transurfing is not just a personal development technique, it's a technology for collective transformation. Because as more people learn to select realities of abundance, love, and connection, those realities become more available for everyone. Think of it like this. Every time someone successfully shifts from a scarcity lifeline to an abundance lifeline, they make it easier for others to make that same shift. They strengthen the coherence of the abundance reality in the alternative space. This is what Zeland means when he talks about energy currents and information waves. Your individual choice to select a preferred reality creates ripples in the field that can influence others to make similar choices. But here's the thing, you can't do this for others. You can't manifest abundance for someone else or force them to shift lifelines. All you can do is embody the reality you want to see, and that embodiment becomes a beacon for others who are ready to make the same shift. This is why it's so important to focus on your own lifeline first. Not because you're being selfish, but because your personal transformation is your contribution to the collective transformation. When you learn to select abundance instead of manifesting it, you become living proof that it's possible. When you learn to select love instead of seeking it, you become a demonstration of what's available. When you learn to select peace instead of fighting for it, you become a portal for others to access that same peace. And here's something that will expand your understanding even further. As you become more skilled at selecting your preferred reality, you begin to realize that you're not just selecting from existing lifelines. You're actually creating new lifelines that didn't exist before. Because consciousness doesn't just select reality, consciousness expands reality. Every time you make a choice that comes from a higher level of awareness, you're not just moving to a different lifeline. You're creating a new lifeline that becomes available for others. This is the true power of reality transurfing. You're not just changing your own life. You're expanding the field of possibilities for everyone. But to do this effectively, you need to understand one more crucial principle: the importance of what Zeland calls the current. This is the natural flow of your preferred lifeline, the path of least resistance toward your desired reality. Most people fight against their current because they think they need to struggle and push and force things to happen. But the current is actually trying to carry you toward your desires. You just need to learn how to recognize it and allow it to guide you. The current shows up as synchronicities, opportunities, intuitive nudges, and unexpected openings. It's the universe's way of saying, This is the path to your preferred lifeline. Trust it and follow it. But here's the challenge. The current doesn't always look like what you think it should look like. It might require you to let go of something you thought you needed. It might lead you in a direction that seems opposite to your goals. It might ask you to trust when you can't see the whole picture. This is where most people abandon the current and go back to trying to manifest through force. They want to control the process, to make it happen their way, according to their timeline. But Reality Transurfing teaches you to surrender to the intelligence of the current, to trust that the universe knows better than your conscious mind how to deliver you to your preferred reality. Let me share another story that demonstrates this beautifully. There was an artist who had been trying to manifest a successful career for years. She had a very specific vision: gallery representation in New York, high-priced paintings, art magazine features. She spent all her time networking with the right people, submitting to important galleries, creating work for the established art world. But year after year, she faced rejection after rejection. Then she discovered Reality Transurfing and realized she had been swimming against her current. Instead of forcing her way into the traditional art world, she began embodying the energy of an artist who was naturally successful and fulfilled. She stopped worrying about galleries and started focusing on the joy of creating. She began sharing her work online, not as strategy, but because she felt called to connect with people who resonated with her vision. Within months, her online following grew organically. People commissioned custom pieces. She started selling directly to collectors through social media. She built a sustainable, profitable practice completely different from her original plan, but infinitely more fulfilling. The current had been trying to guide her toward this path all along, but she had been too focused on her specific vision to recognize it. When she finally trusted the flow, her career took off in ways she never could have imagined. This is the power of recognizing and following your current. It's not about being passive or giving up on your dreams. It's about being flexible enough to allow your dreams to manifest in ways that might be even better than what you originally envisioned. And here's something crucial to understand. The current isn't just about external circumstances. It's also about your internal guidance system. As you develop sensitivity to the energy of your preferred lifeline, you begin to feel in your body which choices will move you toward that reality and which will move you away from it. This is what Zeland calls developing inner perception. You start to notice subtle energetic signals that guide your decisions. A feeling of expansion when you think about a certain opportunity, a sense of contraction when you consider a particular choice, an inexplicable knowing that pulls you in a specific direction. Most people override these signals with logical analysis or fear-based thinking, but Reality Transurfing teaches you to trust and follow these inner promptings, because they're coming from the part of you that's already connected to your preferred lifeline. The more you practice following your inner perception, the more refined it becomes. You develop what we might call reality navigation skills, the ability to sense which choices will lead you toward your desired outcomes and which will lead you into unwanted scenarios. But here's where it gets really interesting. As you become more skilled at reading these energetic signals, you begin to realize that you can also influence them. You can actually shift your energetic state to align with different possibilities. This is where the practice of what Zeland calls target slides becomes so powerful. Instead of visualizing specific outcomes, you create mental images that capture the essence of how you want to feel in your preferred reality. For example, instead of visualizing a specific house you want to buy, you might create a slide of yourself feeling completely at home and at peace in your living space. Instead of focusing on a particular amount of money, You might slide into the feeling of financial freedom and security. These slides aren't meant to be detailed visions of specific outcomes. They're energetic templates that help you align with the frequency of your desired lifeline. And because they're focused on essence rather than form, they give the universe maximum flexibility in how it delivers your desires. But creating effective slides requires a particular skill: the ability to generate authentic feelings without attachment to specific outcomes. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of reality transurfing for most people, because we're so conditioned to link our emotional states to external circumstances. We think we can only feel abundant when we have money, loved when we're in a relationship, successful when we achieve our goals. But reality transurfing teaches you to reverse this equation. You learn to generate the feelings first, and then allow the circumstances to align with those feelings. This isn't about positive thinking or forcing yourself to feel good. It's about recognizing that your emotional state is a choice, and that choice is constantly determining which lifeline you're selecting. When you wake up feeling grateful and abundant, you're selecting the lifeline where gratitude and abundance are your natural state. When you move through your day with confidence and trust, you're aligning with the reality where things work out in your favor. This is why your daily energy management becomes so crucial. Every emotion you experience, every thought you think, every action you take is a vote for the reality you want to experience. And the universe is always responding to these votes, always reflecting back to you the lifeline that matches your predominant energy. But here's something that will deepen your understanding even further. Reality transurfing isn't just about selecting personal realities. It's about recognizing that consciousness itself is evolving, and your individual awakening is part of a much larger planetary transformation. As more people discover these principles and begin consciously selecting their realities, we're collectively shifting into a conscious civilization, where human beings take responsibility for their role as co-creators. This is why your personal transformation matters so much. Every time you choose love over fear, abundance over scarcity, trust over control, you're contributing to the collective awakening of human consciousness. You are part of this transformation. Your willingness to explore these ideas, to experiment with conscious selection, to embody a new way of being, all of this contributes to the emergence of a new reality for humanity. Now let me share with you one of the most profound aspects of reality transurfing that most people never discover: the concept of what Zeland calls the rustle of the morning stars. This refers to those magical moments when you catch a glimpse of your preferred lifeline bleeding through into your current reality. These are the synchronicities that make you pause and wonder. The perfect timing that seems too good to be coincidence. The opportunities that appear just when you need them. The people who show up with exactly what you're looking for. The sudden insights that solve problems you've been struggling with for months. Most people dismiss these moments as luck or coincidence. But in reality transurfing, these are signals that you're successfully navigating toward your preferred lifeline. They're confirmations that your selection is working, evidence that you're beginning to slide from one reality to another. The key is to recognize these moments and acknowledge them without getting overly excited or attached. Because excitement creates excess potential, and excess potential can actually push you away from your preferred lifeline. Instead, you simply notice these signals with quiet satisfaction. Acknowledge them as evidence that you're on the right track, and continue to embody the energy of your preferred reality with confidence and trust. And here's what happens as you become more sensitive to these signals. They begin to appear more frequently. The gap between your selection and its manifestation begins to shrink. Your ability to navigate the alternative space becomes more refined and precise. You start to understand that reality is far more fluid and responsive than you ever imagined. You begin to see that what most people call solid reality is actually just one possible expression of infinite potential. And you realize that you have been co-creating your reality all along. You've just been doing it unconsciously. Now you can do it consciously. But there's another layer that's crucial to understand: the role of what Zeland calls the balanced state. This is perhaps the most important skill you can develop, because it determines your ability to maintain access to your preferred lifeline, even when external circumstances seem challenging. The balanced state is characterized by inner calm, emotional neutrality, and detached observation. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about maintaining your center regardless of what's happening around you. When you're balanced, you don't get pulled into external drama. You don't react emotionally to temporary setbacks. You remain centered in your power as the conscious selector of your reality. This is easier said than done, because we're constantly bombarded with information designed to pull us out of balance. But Reality Transurfing teaches you that maintaining balance is your most important job, because when you're balanced, you can access your inner perception and feel the current of your optimal lifeline. But let me take you deeper into understanding how this actually works. Reality Transurfing isn't just philosophy, it's a technology for navigating consciousness. The space of variations is what quantum physicists call the field of infinite potentiality. Every possible reality exists simultaneously in this field. What we experience as linear time is just one pathway through this infinite landscape of possibilities. Your consciousness is constantly sending signals about which reality you want to experience. But it's not about positive thoughts. It's about the quality of your consciousness. This is why Zeland emphasizes coordinating your internal and external intention. Internal intention is what you want. External intention is how the universe wants to give it to you. True selection happens when these are in harmony. Most people operate from internal intention alone, trying to force reality to deliver their desires in specific ways. But external intention is about surrendering to universal intelligence while maintaining clarity about your desired outcome. This requires trust and letting go of control over the how, when, and specific form of your desires. When you coordinate internal and external intention, your life becomes a series of synchronicities and opportunities that feel like the universe is conspiring in your favor. Here's another powerful example. A woman with chronic health issues had tried every treatment and healing technique for years. She visualized perfect health and affirmed wellness, but her condition persisted. Through Reality Transurfing, she realized she was trying to manifest health from the identity of being sick. Her entire life revolved around managing illness. She began selecting the lifeline where vibrant health was natural, embodying the consciousness of someone who had never been sick. This wasn't denial or positive thinking. It was recognizing that somewhere in the space of variations was a version of her who woke up feeling energetic and alive every day. She embodied that version, making choices from health consciousness rather than illness management. The transformation was gradual but undeniable. Her energy returned, symptoms faded, and most importantly, her relationship with her body completely shifted. She stopped seeing herself as broken and started seeing herself as inherently whole. This works for everything: health, relationships, finances, career, creativity, spiritual growth. Every area of your life is subject to conscious selection. But here's something deeper. You're not just transforming personally. Every time you select a lifeline of abundance, love, or peace, you make those realities more accessible for everyone. You strengthen the coherence of positive realities in the alternative space. This is where reality transurfing intersects with quantum physics. The observer effect shows that consciousness influences reality at the quantum level. Zeland suggests this works on the macro level too. Your conscious observation collapses infinite potentials into experienced reality. You're not just selecting from pre-existing realities. Through conscious observation, you're influencing which realities become manifest. You're participating in the creation of the universe through your consciousness. This transforms everything. Every moment of awareness is an opportunity to influence reality. Every conscious choice is a creative act. Every shift in perspective is a quantum leap into new possibility. The daily practice becomes essential. Each morning, consciously select which lifeline you want to experience. Throughout the day, practice lucid living, maintaining awareness of your role as conscious selector. When challenges arise, ask, how would the version of me on my preferred lifeline respond? This isn't suppressing emotions. It's recognizing you always have choice in how you interpret and respond to circumstances. As you develop this practice, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to notice that your life becomes increasingly synchronized with your intentions. Obstacles that used to seem insurmountable begin to dissolve. Opportunities that align with your goals start appearing with increasing frequency. People who resonate with your vision begin showing up in your life. This isn't coincidence. This is conscious selection in action. You're becoming increasingly skilled at navigating the quantum field of infinite possibilities and selecting the realities that match your highest vision for your life. And here's the most beautiful part. As you master this practice, you begin to realize that there is no separation between you and the universe. You are not a small, isolated being trying to manipulate external forces. You are an integral part of the creative intelligence that is constantly bringing new realities into existence. Your consciousness is not separate from cosmic consciousness. Your will is not separate from divine will. Your desires are not separate from the universe's desire to express itself through infinite forms and experiences. This recognition brings a profound sense of peace and trust. You no longer feel like you have to struggle against reality or force it to conform to your wishes. You understand that you and reality are partners in an eternal dance of creation, and your role is simply to move in harmony with the music. This is the ultimate teaching of reality transurfing. You are not a victim of circumstances, not a recipient of random events, not a passive observer of a predetermined fate. You are the conscious co-creator of your reality, the deliberate selector of your experience, the active participant in the unfolding of infinite possibility. Every moment offers you the choice. Will you select from the old patterns, the familiar limitations, the well-worn paths of struggle and lack? Or will you step into the unknown, trust the current of your optimal lifeline, and allow yourself to be guided toward the realities that exist beyond your current imagination? So let me ask you, what reality are you ready to select? What lifeline calls to you? What version of yourself are you ready to embody? Take a moment to feel into this, not to think about it, but to feel it. Because reality transurfing is not an intellectual exercise. It's a shift in your entire being, and it starts with you. It starts with your willingness to let go of the old paradigm of manifestation and embrace the new paradigm of selection. It starts with your courage to step into the unknown and trust the current of your preferred lifeline. If you're ready to master these principles at the deepest level, to understand the complete system that Zeland spent decades developing, the full Reality Transurfing book is linked in the description. It contains the detailed techniques, the advanced concepts, and the complete roadmap for navigating the alternative space that we could only glimpse in this video. The reality you've been trying to manifest is already here. It's been waiting for you to stop trying to create it and start selecting it. It's been waiting for you to stop pushing against the current and start flowing with it. The question is not whether you can have the life you want. The question is whether you're ready to select it, whether you're ready to embody the version of yourself who already lives on that lifeline. And if you are, then everything changes. Not because you've manifested something new, but because you've remembered something eternal. You are the conscious selector of your reality, and every moment is an opportunity to choose which reality you want to experience. Drop one word below that captures the energy of the lifeline you're choosing to select. Let this be your energetic signature to the quantum field, your declaration that you're ready to step into conscious selection. And if you're ready to go deeper into this work, if you're ready to learn the practical techniques for navigating the alternative space and selecting your preferred reality, then subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent with this frequency. Because here's what I know. The more of us who understand these principles, the more the collective reality shifts toward abundance, love, and connection. The more of us who learn to select instead of manifest, the more we create a world where everyone has access to their preferred lifeline. This is not just about personal transformation. This is about planetary transformation. This is about evolving human consciousness to a level where we can consciously participate in the creation of our collective reality. The space of variations is infinite. The possibilities are endless. And you, right now, in this moment, have the power to select any reality you can imagine. So what will you choose? What reality will you select? What lifeline will you step into? The choice is yours. It always has been. But now you know how to make it consciously. Welcome to Reality Transurfing. Welcome to the art of conscious selection. Welcome to the recognition that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but the architect of your experience. The future you've been dreaming of is not something you need to manifest. It's something you can select. Right now, in this moment. And that changes everything.